The exact cause of UC is not well understood. However, it is thought to be due to three main factors. The first being genetic predisposition, environmental factors, and dysregulated immune response. Environmental factors include exposure to viruses, lifestyle choices, and consumption of NSAIDs. Inflammatory bowel disease is an umbrella term used to describe a group of conditions where there is inflammation of the intestines. There are two main types of IBD, Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. IBD affects the lower portion of the GI, whereas Crohn's disease can occur in any part of the tract, ranging from the mouth to the anus. The neutrophils indicate a change in the composition of the inflammatory infiltrate and epithelial cell damage. Structural changes include irregular surface, villiform surface, and a disturbed crypt architecture. To demonstrate the histopathology, here is a schematic from A to D with increasing progressiveness. C is higher in developed countries compared to developing countries, and this is thought to be due to the improved hygiene, reducing the exposure to enteric infections during childhood, and therefore restricting maturation of the mucosal immune system. In Australia, there is no current statistics on Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, and this is something that needs to be explored in more depth. Here are some fast facts about UC. So Australia has one of the highest prevalence in the world. In 2017, there were 6.8 million cases of IBD, and UC is more prevalent. The role of the large intestine is to process the ingestible chyme after the nutrients have been absorbed in the small intestine. The large intestine includes the cecum, ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, and sigmoid colon. These areas play a key role in the absorption of water, vitamins, and electrolytes, and by increasing the pressure in the colon to form stool. Functions of large intestine were mentioned previously. To the right, we have an image and diagram of what happens in UC, and we are going to deconstruct this into 3 steps. The mucinous layer is the first line of defense in the mucosal immune system, as it provides a physical barrier between the host immune cells and the luminal microbes, and is essential for the synthesis of antimicrobial peptides. In UC, the synthesis and alteration of sulfonation of colonic mucin subtypes 2 is decreased, and damage to the epithelial layer leads to increased permeability due to defective regulation of tight junctions. This leads to an increased uptake of antigens, which may proceed to UC. The functional status from tolerogenic to activated phenotype dendritic and macrophage cells leads to the activation of the NF-kappa B pathway. This pathway stimulates the pro-inflammatory genes, increasing the production of cytokines, seen here in yellow, and in UC patients they have an increased number of activated mature dendritic cells, and this correlates with disease activity. The activated innate immune cells present cytokines to the CD4+ cell for differentiation into the Th2 effector cells. The natural killer cells, shown here as NK, they produce IL-13, which is associated with the disruption of the epithelial barrier. Circulating T cells with integrin, shown in green, bind to the cholinergic endothelial cells through the MADCAM1, which has enhanced expression in the inflamed intestine, leading to increased entry of gut-specific T cells into the lamina propria. Chemokines, shown in red, lead to the recruitment of leukocytes, which perpetuates the cycle of inflammation. UC patients, like Jim, often experience diarrhea as a result of an increased permeability as the epithelial cell is damaged and inflamed, abdominal pain as a result of increased stools due to the diarrhea and inflammation, fatigue as they malabsorb food and cannot get the right amount of iron, and this is a common cause of fatigue in general. Also, urgency to defecate, as this is as a result of the colon contraction repeatedly, which produces sores and ulcers. Patients also experience weight loss as an indication of the malnutrition. Fever can also be found, as this is closely aligned with the inflammatory process, and it is also common to experience rectal bleeding due to the sores and ulcers, as they can bleed and produce pus and bloody diarrhea.